Welcome everyone to another channeling session. This is going to be for our YouTube and Patreon page. If you follow us on YouTube, please give us a like, comment, or subscribe. And we decided to do this channeling session because there's a lot of stuff going on the planet right now, obviously, politically, socially. And I would say that it's hard times right now. A lot of people have been in utter and complete fear of
Mm.
kind of what's been going on, and I know it's been affecting a lot of people. And so today I just kind of wanted to see who we could talk to get an idea of what's going on the planet, how to navigate it, and we may or may not get answers in channeling. I'm just going to warn everyone right now that they don't always give us an answer, or they might give us vague answers, and you're just kind of like, that doesn't answer my question. We know Tiara and I have been there,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, that's just the way it goes because entities are very cautious when it comes to interfering with natural law. And really, these entities are here for guidance. They're not here for reassurances. They're not here for guarantees. They're not here for the things that would probably bring us comfort at the end of the day. So just take what resonates and leave what doesn't, and we will see how this session goes.
All right. So usually for these types of sessions, I sit as the channeler and Ali does sit as the sitter. Usually that's the way it is, but we can both channel. So oftentimes you'll see entities come through both sides or either side. It just kind of depends. So we're going to see who comes through today. And hopefully we can get you guys a little bit of information and clarity about what's going on. And then we'll go from there.
So we'll just give Tiara a second to collect her energy, and then we will begin. So whichever entity would like to start off with talking to us a little bit about what is going on, particularly in the United States. And I will say what is happening in the United States is affecting the world. And I know that a lot of people are on edge, a lot of people are scared. There's a lot of fear there. And I'm not saying it's not justified, but it would be great if we could get an entity's perspective on what's happening.
So I had Thoth here. What you're seeing right now is severe disruption, induced chaos and uncertainty, a power grab, and ultimately what's not being considered and what is rarely ever considered when those that be make drastic decisions that can affect millions of people is what type of emotional or mental impact it might have. Your society exists in one that is highly individualistic, where everyone must, as some like to say, pull up their own bootstraps, do what they must to survive, to succeed, and do it in a way that's separate or disconnected from others. Now we know that this state and form of existence has been destructive and damaging in many, many ways because it's driven many people to states of exhaustion, despair, burnout, fatigue. So when you combine all of these factors, the fragile state of so many, energetically, mentally, and emotionally, combined with severe and substantial changes happening at the highest levels of power, it creates uncertainty, fear, and doubt. And I'd say that for the most part, that's what we're seeing. Is the clash.
So knowing that humanity is in this energetic state of exhaustion, they're stressed out, there's a lot of anxiety. A lot of people are just struggling with their mental and don't really know what to do with themselves. What advice do you have for those people who are just really scared right now?
It's easy to be scared and afraid when you don't know what's coming, what it's going to look like, or how it might impact or affect you, yourself, or your families. It's easy to slide into doubt, thinking about worst case scenarios or outcomes. Unfortunately, we can't share or predict what any specific outcome might be. I think now is the time for many to reconsider the way they've lived and their states of being and ask themselves if it's serving them still, if it's is still serving them in a way that's for their best and highest. Now, that can be very difficult to look at and very difficult to consider, especially when you're in a state of survival. But at this point, it is something that's necessary for the masses to look at and consider and decide if their state of being, the way that they have related and existed, not only individually, but collectively, is the right way, if it's the right path forward at this state or at this juncture. Because I think if many started having these types of thoughts and discussions, they would be surprised by what they discover and would be more inclined to find and just search for what the solution might be.
That's interesting because I would say that because the programming runs so deep, the programming of material success and having those comforts, and if it's really the only way people have lived their entire lives, and now people are being priced out of the market, now people are being priced out of a roof over their head, and we are seeing shifts, but I wouldn't say that for most, it's a shift that brings them happiness and joy. It's just kind of, as you said, a survival mode where people are being priced out of their homes and needing to do more camper van living or RV living or even living out of their cars. And people are making those choices, but it does, the sentiment I've seen on social media and particularly is that it's not a choice that obviously brings them joy and happiness. It's just what they have to do to survive. And that's what's scaring a lot of people right now is them losing, their comforts and the thought of being homeless. And there's a lot of that going on right now. And I'm not sure what advice, if you can provide any advice further to bring some people some peace and comfort with those choices and then feeling confident in those choices that everything's going to be okay.
You mentioned comforts. And when I shared earlier that people should reflect on if their way and state of being is serving them, one of those things that perhaps should be reflected upon is comforts and material comforts and what those truly mean. You also mentioned programming, which I do think has heavily influenced the population in regards to needing and acquiring comforts, and assuming that these things that exist outside of ourselves somehow are necessary for our happiness and contentment. But at the end of the day, they're just things. And is it true that happiness comes from things? What is happiness and what does that mean? Can one be happy existing in a different way? Can one be happy existing alternatively or living alternatively? Does specific ways of living determine one's happiness? I think if many could start having these type of conversations with themselves, amongst themselves, with others, that perhaps they could consider and conceive that they can be happy in a different way or find happiness in other places or things, or maybe even consider that happiness is a state and that ultimately it comes from within.
I would say that change is hard for most people. Most people resist change, they don't like change, and I do feel like what is happening on the planet right now, particularly in America right now, is that people are being forced into changes, which brings uncertainty and a lot of fear, and I'm not sure how to help these individuals because change is just a part of life, and I know that, but I feel like so many people struggle with it, and I think that's where a lot of the uncertainty and fear is coming from on like, en masse, from the masses, and although I understand it, I am not sure how to convey a message to them that although it is scary, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it's not a good thing, but I do believe that change is necessary because what I understand about ascension, what I understand about the new earth, what I understand about the expansion of consciousness, which is essentially what ascension is that things do need to change and the system does need to break. And can you confirm, like, that what is happening right now, that the system is breaking and that the system needs to fall in order for us to implement this big change in the spiritual war that we are currently in?
I do acknowledge that change is not easy and that change is difficult, but it's interesting that so many people are discontent with their lives, unhappy with the power dynamics in the United States and how there exists an oligarchy that seeks domination at the expense of others, seeks to hoard the wealth, leaving many others penniless. Many recognize that this isn't okay and that they don't no longer will support such a structure. But if that is the case, then individuals need to also recognize that change takes effort, that change is not easy, that change can inflict chaos. So the question then becomes, if a new state of being in existence is necessary, and we know that, are we willing to achieve that and attain that through change, even if it means that things are going to get bleak, even if it means things might get ugly? So perhaps the perspective needs to change towards why the change is necessary and what change is.
Thank you for that. I kind of want to shift here for the people who are awakened because I have seen a lot of this sentiment, particularly on Reddit, where there are people awakening and people are awakening to the matrix in particularly and the programming, but a lot of people are using the term fake. Like this reality is fake. This is not real. And a lot of people are having a really hard time, particularly star seeds. A lot of people are having a lot of time, like a hard time navigating the fakeness and this reality is not feeling real. And I've just seen a lot of this sentiment and I'm not sure like what advice you could give some of these people who are really struggling with knowing what Earth is, but like they don't know how to navigate. They just feel trapped here, I guess is the best word.
Trapped as in they'd rather be somewhere else.
Correct.
Okay, so this is Tiara. Can you clarify a little bit more, Ellie, about the fakeness? Like you said, people think it's fake or think life here is fake. Like, do you mean like that they think they live in a matrix or like in a simulation? That kind of
Well,
fake?
is the Matrix real or is the Matrix fake?
I suppose if people are under the impression that we exist in some type of simulation or false reality, that could contribute to something feeling or coming across as fake. That's not necessarily wrong, as we do know that our reality is based on our energetic state, and that the reality reflected back to us is ultimately up to us. So that our reality is fake could be a disconnect between the reality someone wishes to see and want versus the one that they are currently experiencing. Because I question if these individuals would still think that reality is quote unquote fake if it were the reality that they truly wished and wanted to see.
Okay, so let's transition to veil is thinning. I just feel like darkness is being the darkness, but also just is darkness the right word? I was just kind of sitting here contemplating on that for a second, where people just there's more darkness being exposed. I'm gonna go with darkness. There's more darkness being exposed en masse. And I would say that people are becoming more aware of the control that they've been under and the system's broken. The systems that have been in place are broken and people are awakening to that. And I guess I could say that it's probably leaving a lot of people confused, myself included in this sometimes, where it's just, okay, if we know that the systems are broken, if we know that the corruption, that was the word I was looking for, if the corruption and the darkness are being exposed en masse, then I would say that it leaves people a little confused, a little lost, because now we have to transition into this new way of life, this new way of thinking, and get ourselves out of survival mode because that's where so many of us are in, but like feel okay about it. Feel like we have purpose, feeling like we can make it out of the darkness and all the craziness and all the corruption. I know that you can't give reassurances. I understand that. But and you may have already answered this. It's just I'm just trying to serve the collective and give them some type of direction that makes people feel as if things can be okay. Because I just feel like so many people just feel hopeless. They don't feel like things are okay. They don't really know how to implement the change. A lot of people are stuck. There's so much fear, and we know that fear keeps people stuck. And I just would love if we could send a message on how to help people through these really hard times that we're in and could even potentially be coming.
I would like to start off by stating that it would be fantastic if humanity could shift more towards community and a communal nature, because when grand changes are on the horizon, as they are currently, we are more impactful together as a team because we can support each other, share resources amongst one another, lift each other up in a way that may be necessary as the system falls, as things shift and change, as things transition to a new state of being. I think ultimately community and a communal nature is going to be very, very valuable, always has been, as humanity is a very communal species and traditionally existed in tribes or groups. I'd also like to share that I mentioned earlier that we are all the architects of our physical reality. And if one is feeling like there's a disconnect internally between their physical reality versus what they would like to see, the key is to explore within yourself why that disconnect is there. And many times it requires looking at your thoughts and your beliefs. So if you feel like you would like to attain a specific dream and you want to manifest this and work towards manifesting this, and you're not seeing the outcome, what within yourself makes you feel as though attaining and seeing that manifest is not possible? Is it tied to fear? Is it tied to work? Is it tied to distorted beliefs, either from your past or from other experiences? What within you is keeping you from getting to the mental and energetic state necessary to manifest the reality you would like to see? It honestly isn't that much more complicated. I just think that many get caught in cycles of fear and doubt. If anything's going to need to be overcome, if people want to see the physical reality they want to see, it's going to require overcoming limiting beliefs and overcoming fear. Because as we know, fear is an illusion. It's false. It lies to us. If one feels like they are experiencing fear for whatever reason, it might be worth asking yourself, why is this fear here and what is it telling me? Because if you can unpack that and release it, then you can start to see things shift slowly and gradually to the desired outcome. But it takes time, it takes effort, it takes courage, and it takes consistency. It also takes great patience. This is Tiara. I'm adding that it also takes self-compassion. I just wanted to add that in. Thank you. Tiara is a
Thank you so much.
proponent of compassion.
Thank you so much for that answer. You said something really interesting about manifestation. I really would love to set the record straight on manifestation. Can you please tell us what manifestation is?
Mm. At its core, manifestation essentially means that you reflect back to you in your physical reality the vibration that you emit. At its core, that's what manifestation is. For whatever reason, in some of these spiritual circles, manifestation gets reduced to ways of manifesting abundance. Manifestation is much more than that because, again, ultimately what's happening is your current vibrational state is reflecting back to you exactly the vibration that you carry. What that looks like and how that appears varies from individual to individual. When people reflect and speak of manifesting the life that they want, for example, if they're seeking abundance, they are talking about shifting one's vibrational frequency to one of abundance. The unfortunate reality is that many cannot do this and struggle to do so. But again, that is because of the fear, doubts, limiting beliefs, and patterns that they're carrying within themselves. So the key then becomes, what do I need to do to shift the limitations of my mind so that they no longer inhibit the manifestation of the physical reality that I'd like to see?
So this is going to be a trigger warning. I'm just going to trigger warn everyone who is watching this. What is your take on all these people who go onto social media and say, I'm going to change your life in 5 minutes and I'm going to teach you how to become this master manifester in 5 minutes?
Talk is over here using the word snake oil salesman. Um,
Okay.
I'm just going to let him clarify. I really, really question the individuals who claim that one can manifest within a matter of minutes. Perhaps that's possible for some who have resolved the limitations of the mind, let go of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. Perhaps that's possible. But for the masses, it is not possible because so many still need to do that first initial step before anything will manifest in the manner that they seek. So, is it possible? Sure. Perhaps for a very select few. Is it possible for most to use a manifestation method that guarantees results in minutes and see that work? I highly doubt.
Thank you for that because we see a lot of that, unfortunately. And I'm really happy that we're having this conversation around manifestation because a lot of people, I don't know where people get this idea, but they think manifestation is thinking that you want something and the universe is going to give it to you. And I often tell a lot of my clients, well, how many things have you wanted that the universe just hands to you? And most of my clients say, not very many things. And I'm just like, well,
Mm.
that should be an indication that that is not what manifestation is. And I don't know where this idea came from that people just think, oh, manifestation is something that I want. So the universe is going to give it to me.
You are correct, and that manifestation is much more than just imagining and thinking and willing something into existence. It's much more complex. There are multiple layers to it. And unfortunately, the proper manifestation techniques are rarely, if ever, communicated.
Well, there are people that I've met plenty of people that's just say, I have no idea how to manifest. And a
Mm.
lot of people, for me, that I like to tell, just either my clients or just random individuals that that I'm willing to have the conversation around manifestation is exactly what you said in the beginning. It's about the energy that you omit, because everything is energy. And I try to shift people into that belief that everything is energy. And like our thoughts are energy, our aura is energy, everything is an energy field around us. And so if you're at a low vibration, why are you going to manifest high vibrational things into your life? It just doesn't work that way.
You're correct. It does not work that way.
So I think so you said something interesting. So are manifestation and abundance two separate things?
Abundance is simply a potential outcome when it comes to manifestation. So, yes, ultimately, manifestation and abundance are different things. They can go hand in hand, but at their core, they are different things.
So would you say that most people are trying to manifest abundance into their life?
Many individuals who seek to deliberately manifest are often attempting to manifest wealth or riches or houses or money or cars. What many don't understand is that it will not be possible to manifest if you are carrying distorted beliefs for abundance or around, for example, lack, or carrying lack mentality or lack mindsets. If one is carrying those type of beliefs, it is very, very difficult to think that you can manifest abundance.
Very interesting. So I'm really happy in this channeling session that we've been talking a lot about like fear, and a lot of people want to manifest right now. So I kind of feel like things go hand in hand in this discussion that we're having today. And I do think that it would be very beneficial for anyone who watches this and anyone who is interested in learning about true manifestation, because I would say that they go hand in hand in this discussion, that we need to work on ourselves and work on removing those fears and raising our vibrations. So, because when we vibrate higher, then it is easier for us to manifest. And as long as we can get to that place and that energetic state, then real change is going to happen. It's like going back to the beginning of the people who are in control and calling all the shots and taking power away from people and putting you in that fear. That is what we need to overcome as a collective and individually. And I also love what Thoth has said about community, because Tiara and I are huge advocates for community, because we are social beings. We are not meant to be this individualistic society that we currently exist in. Really, we need to start shifting individually and as a collective. So I don't have any further questions. If Tiara has any,
I don't have any. No. Thank you, Todd.
thank you, Toth, so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I hope that this helps you, brings you some sort of comfort. And I know that times are really scary right now. Even Tiara and I feel it. It's just, I wanted to get advice from any high vibrational being willing to speak to us about this topic. And it seems like the overall message is that we really need to obviously work on our fear, work on our scarcity mindset, and start raising our vibration individually. And if once we start doing it individually, the vibration is going to rise in the collective naturally. And we can rise above this, and we can rise above the corruption.
Absolutely. Agreed. This is Tiara. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that this was helpful. Thoth has some very profound, beautiful messages. So I do hope that that resonates with some of you guys out there because we know how uncertain things are, especially in the West. So you guys, we've got this. We're going to make it. If you are looking for some community, check out our Higher Vibe tribe. We're there to uplift and support each other in the same manner that Thoth mentioned. It's just online. So please do check it out. So you can find it on our website, goddessvibrationstudio.com. And we are looking forward to seeing your faces.